Hello everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care channel. I'm Dwayne and I'm a certified RV inspector. Today we're going to be talking about using a tow dolly to tow your vehicle behind your RV. Now, when it comes to towing a vehicle, for most RVers, there's two choices. Either you flat tow that vehicle behind your RV, which simply means that all four wheels will be on the ground at all times, or you use a tow dolly. Now, in some cases, the tow dolly could be a four-wheel tow dolly, and that means that you put the whole car on the tow dolly and tow it behind the RV. But that's not very common. So today what we're talking about is mainly the two-wheel tow dolly. And really, either one of these methods are going to work fine. I know that there's a lot of folks out there who seem to think that whatever they chose for towing their vehicle is the way everybody needs to tow a vehicle. But it's not true. Here's the real truth. There are plenty of RVers who have used either one of these methods for years and are very happy with it. So the best thing to do is look carefully at the pros and cons of each of these methods of towing and decide what's best for you. Now, in last week's video, I covered the pros and the cons of flat towing a vehicle. And I do encourage you to go through that video as well, because it goes hand in hand with this video, and you'll be able to make the comparison that way. But this week, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of just tow dollies. And when I say tow dollies, this is what I mean. This is how it works. The tow dolly usually attaches to your RV by means of a ball hitch. And then once it's connected to the RV, you drive your vehicle up onto the tow dolly. If it's a front-wheel drive vehicle, that makes it very simple. You just drive it right up in place. Once it's on the tow dolly, then you anchor the front wheels down by straps, anchor straps, and that way they're locked into place and you can tow the whole vehicle from there. Now, when you get a tow dolly, one thing I really want you to think about seriously is to get a tow dolly with brakes, a braking system installed. These could be either electrical brakes or they could be surge brakes, and actually either one does a very good job. But let's talk about the differences. If you have electrical brakes, it means that your brakes are going to tie in to your RV's electrical system. And usually you're going to find a 6 or 7 pin connector on the RV where the tow dolly connects into it. When it's done that way, you put the brakes on in the RV, and an electrical connection makes the brakes go on in the tow dolly as well. And so it works quite well doing it that way. But just keep in mind, there is one additional step if you use electrical brakes. And that is that you have to have a brake controller that's installed in the RV. The brake controller will help fine-tune the connection between the RV and the tow dolly so that the braking is done smoothly and correctly. Now, surge brakes work instead on inertia, and what that means is this. If your vehicle is following along behind your RV and you put the brakes on, well, there's a move forward, and so the tow dolly senses that and automatically applies the brakes without any need of an electrical connection. So inertia brakes are more of a mechanical thing, electrical brakes are more of an electrical thing. Now, let me again emphasize, either one of these braking systems will work fine. It's just whatever works best for your particular situation. Let's move along now to the lighting on the tow dolly. Most tow dollies are going to come with the lights already pre-wired on it. And if you're using surge brakes, well, then you may only have a 4-pin connector on the RV to connect in to get the lights to work on the tow dolly. But if you're using electrical brakes and the lighting as well on the tow dolly, then you're probably going to see a 6 or 7 pin connector instead. Some RVers only use the lights that are on the fenders of the tow dolly. Other RVers want more braking lights than that. They feel more comfortable with having an auxiliary lighting system, usually on the very rear of the towed vehicle. Also, some states do require that the lights be at the very rear of whatever is being towed. It's up to you. You need to decide where you're going to be RVing and then comply with whatever state laws are in those areas. Now, let's talk about the pros and the cons of towing with a tow dolly. And let's start with the pros. Pro number 1 is the cost. Generally speaking, using a tow dolly instead of a flat towing setup will cost you about half the amount of the flat tow arrangement. So that's a big pro or advantage in its favor. Number 2 is that tow dollies very often are a very simple setup. And this is especially true if you have surge brakes, because you just simply drive the vehicle up on the tow dolly, you connect to the RV. If you're using just the lights on the tow dolly, after you anchor down the front wheels, off you go. It's pretty simple in the setup. Number 3, and this is a big advantage or pro for tow dollies, there's a wide range of vehicles that you can choose from to tow behind your RV. Now, this is true because with flat towing, there's only so many vehicles that you can flat tow with all 4 wheels on the ground and not cause transmission trouble. But with a tow dolly, if it's a front-wheel drive vehicle, then in many cases you can just drive those front wheels up onto the tow dolly, anchor them down. The 2 wheels that are in the back are not connected to the drivetrain, and they're not going to cause you any issues. Now, I do encourage you to check with your manufacturer of that vehicle to make sure that it can be tow dollied safely. But in general, there's no question there's a lot more vehicles that can be used as a towed vehicle with a tow dolly than flat towing. Now, one other pro, this is number 4, is that yes, not only do you have to worry about any transmission damage being done to your towed vehicle, but because the 2 front wheels are on the tow dolly, there's no need to have the key in the ignition and the ignition in the on position so that the front wheels move. And since that's the case, there's no worry about running your battery down either. And that's something that flat towers know can be a real issue. So those are the pros of tow dollies. Now let's talk about the cons. The con number 1, it takes more physical work. And that's just true. It takes more work to anchor down the straps on the front wheels. It takes more work to move the tow dolly around once it's disconnected from the RV. So if that's an issue for you, then you want to take that into consideration. Number 2 con, it can take longer to set up your tow and to unhook with a tow dolly. This is especially true if you compare it with flat towing a vehicle that has all the lighting and the braking hardwired. With that, it's just a simple connect up and disconnect, and it doesn't take but a couple of minutes, and the vehicle's connected and disconnected. But with a tow dolly, you're always going to have the anchoring of those wheels down onto the tow dolly. So there's always going to be a little bit more work that goes with a tow dolly. However, in many cases, it's not that much, and it's not as much as some want to make you believe. So it's going to be a little extra effort, but it's not the end of the world. Now, the third con for tow dollies is that you're going to have to find a place for the tow dolly on the campsite once you disconnect it. Some are going to make you believe that this is a real big issue, but if you talk to RVers who've been tow dollying their vehicles for years, they all pretty much say it's a rare situation where you don't have room for your tow dolly on the campsite. So this is a consideration, but it's not a major one. Well, those are the pros and the cons of using a tow dolly to tow your vehicle behind your RV. Now, I hope you enjoyed what we covered today, and I hope it was really helpful for you. Once again, when I was looking into flat towing or tow dollying a vehicle, I found a lot of information, but it was very spotty. It didn't seem to be all in one place, and I've tried in these videos to put the information in one place as much as possible. If you liked the video, you enjoyed it, please like it on YouTube. That really helps us YouTube creators. And if you have any experience with towing a vehicle, and especially with towing one using a tow dolly, please comment below. Let us benefit from your experience. You may have a lot to add to this discussion that would help, and we'd love to hear from you. And finally, we would love to have you become part of our online family. And to do that, just simply subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, and that way you won't miss any of the videos that I put out on a weekly basis. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.